What's up, everybody? I think we're good. What's up, everybody? Yes, we're streaming on Wednesdays. No, suddenly, for no reason. Hey, Heretical Response. Hello, Christopher. Hey, Cassie. Hello, buddy. How is everybody today on Hump Day? You love yourself a lot? That's good. Cassie says it's a state holiday, so I'm off work and happy. That's really good. You get that? You know, I kind of miss that extra state holiday. It's kind of interesting. I should do a, oh my God, my hair. I took a shower today and my hair is like really frizzy. So it's just going to annoy me. Anyways, I should kind of do a topic on that holiday sometime. So I grew up, if you all don't know, Cassie is one of my childhood best friends. Actually, the childhood best friend. One of what? The only childhood best friends. So anyways, Cassie's my childhood best friend. And we grew up in Utah together. And Utah has this specific holiday that's the 24th of July. So you have the 4th of July, but in Utah you have a secondary holiday during that month, which is the 24th, which was the day that the Mormon pioneers came into Utah and declared the land their home. So for those who are not Mormon, it's called Pioneer Day, but for those who aren't Mormon or who are ex-Mormon, call it Pie and Beer Day. So you're either celebrating Pioneer Day or you're celebrating Pie and Beer Day. See, I'd rather go with Pie and Beer Day, so. But good on you. Oh my God, Cassie did not grow up Mormon at all. Actually, Cassie was like my one non-Mormon friend. I was the Mormon one. I was the religious one. Yeah. We got enough music. Hello, Becca. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. So today, my lovelies, we're going to just, and the reason I'm starting to live stream on Wednesdays, and I know this is very sudden and kind of like unplanned, but there's so much going on, and on top of that, I'm starting to game stream on top of it, so I'm starting to live stream video games. So I'm like, I need to pick up an extra day. And originally I said, well, let's try Saturdays for streaming, but that is on and off occupied by the Neogenian Oculus, and I like to sort of be fair with time and space. Eventually, in the future, it will get to the point where you're going to have a stream from all of us in the same night, and you're just going to have to, like, choose and jump back and forth. Like, it will get that way. Like, we're all going to grow in our own individual ways. Where there's going to be overlapping streams. But for now, we don't need to do that. So now that I'm starting to game stream and there's so much exciting, crazy stuff going on worldwide now, especially in American politics, I'm like, I need to pick up another day. So today I decided to do the update on current world events. We're going to discuss Joe Biden dropping out and Kamala Harris being the head honcho, the pretty much the Obi-Wan Kenobi only hope person in this thing. So we're gonna do that, and then Friday we may touch base and stay connected with some of the subjects, the political subjects that we're discussing today. But we're also going to game on Fridays because I feel like Fridays seems like a day where it's more appropriate to do a little bit more fun stuff. But we'll still, if it's relevant and necessary, we will update on some serious subjects first. But for today, I would like to sort of touch base on what's going on and catch up with Kamala. Because this is a crazy thing that happened. I was totally shooketh when I opened up Twitter and saw that Joe Biden decided to officially resign, back out, drop out, all that stuff. I was like, wow, we're really going to do this? Because I thought there was no hope. I thought it was just Joe and Trump till the end. Cassie says, hell no, Jan tried to pull me in, going to... I probably did, and I should apologize to you, and that's so true, because at the time there was definitely a part of me that was totally. I'm going back to talking about growing up in Utah with Cassie. Cassie was my non-Mormon friend. I was very Mormon. I definitely believe you when you say there was a time where I tried to pull you in, probably because I was just brainwashed and I was trying to do the best I could by, like, being somewhat connected to the religion, and I felt... But that's the thing about Mormonism. When you're a member of the Mormon church, if you have a non-Mormon friend, you do feel, like, a pressure. Like, you have to do something to try and introduce them into it, whether it's subtly or not. So, that's actually you know what? That's actually an interesting subject. I think I might think about doing a recorded episode about that or something. Cassie says, I felt left out from you all Mormon kids. And that's... See... Let's talk. This might be an interesting, like, pre-recorded topic. That actually... Even if it's, like, 15 minutes recorded, or, like, 20 minutes of conversation, that might actually be interesting. You and I growing up in Utah, me being Mormon, you not, you feeling left out because all your friends were mostly Mormon, and me feeling the pressure to try to get you into Mormonism, and how that kind of, like, didn't really work out, and here we are today, and it is what it is, and all that stuff. Heretical Response says, you were kids, don't beat yourselves up. Me and Cassie have a lot of those conversations. It's kind of interesting. I love Cassie. It's kind of interesting to grow up with somebody and be friends with somebody who you grew up with because it's like we do a lot of processing of our childhood lives, and we just kind of like validate each other and just kind of like talk through things and rationalize things. But anyways, enough about that. I'm just chit chatting until we get started on our meeting. And I think actually Biden is fucking talking right now from the Oval Office, so I should actually pull that up. I probably should have started the stream earlier, but because I don't go live Wednesdays, there's some confusion and I don't think people are getting in right away. So, but that's okay. So I think Biden is like literally speaking from the Oval Office right now and we're missing it. So let's pull that up real quick just because it's like right away. Biden speaking from the Oval Office. But just to get into it. I'm sorry, there's so much going on. So, July 21st, which was what? It was Sunday. Yeah, this is like brand new fresh. That's why I'm like, I can't wait till Friday. I gotta cover this shit now. So, Sunday, Joe Biden posted a tweet that says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made a great progress as a nation." Oh God, I can't read this. It's so fucking tiny. My eyes are hurting already. Maybe I can like... Can I zoom in it? Oh, thank God. Oh, fuck yes. Thank you. Oh, my eyes. Love that. Thank you. Yes, my eyes. Thank you. So anyways, my fellow Americans, as of this Sunday, and I was shooketh. I'm like, really? This is happening? I mean, that's a crazy fucking move. Like, this is crazy to do. But like Sunday, I'm like, wow, we're in it. Okay, let's go. So, my fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation today. America has the strongest economy in the world. I don't know about that, honey, but sure. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in history of the world. America has never been positioned to lead than we are today. I have some notes, but that's not the point of this discussion right now. I have notes about all that, but we're not focusing on that right now. Okay, so I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and... Please, I'm a millennial. I've already seen terrible shit so far. This is nothing. Are you kidding? This is a walk in the park. Millennials have seen too much, okay? We've seen too much! Anyways... And we've revitalized it and strengthened our alliances around the world. Yeah, with Netanyahu. Thanks. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. Okay. So I will speak to the nation later this week, which is today. We're going to get to that. Like literally today. In fact, we honestly should have started the stream like hours ago. Anyway, so I will speak to the nation this week in more detail about my decision today. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked hard to see me re-elect. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. You have had none from me, my dude, but whatever. I believe today I have always have that there... oh, wait, what? I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of the America. Okay, signed, sealed with a kiss, spritzed with a, spritzed with perfume. Interesting. Okay. What was Biden? We got to start. What did Biden say today? Because this is brand new, like, happening right now. Did we miss it? Hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Ugh. What are you doing? Oh. Hi, Mark. Okay, let's turn this up. Let's get all this up. Let's get this going. And let's get some good quality there. Okay, let's get the captions on. We got a lady sign languaging. That's not how it works. Anyways, let's go.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office.
I'm sorry, what?
In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president.
How much fucking drugs did they pump him full of to get him to, like, function this much? I don't mean to be this critical, but it's like, I think this comes from being Mormon, and I have seen so many prophets of the Mormon church get elected. They always say it's like, oh, the God chose this prophet. Like, no, you're elected. Like, shut up. Like, there's a behind the doors election going on there. Like, you're elected. And we don't get to vote as Mormons. But anyways, I've seen plenty of prophets, like, put into position that they are so fucking old and so out of their minds and so, like, demented and delirious and can't even fucking, like, barely form a sentence, let alone have any conceptualization or, like a connection to, like, what it is to be a young person today. Like, honestly... Because the Mormon president right now, the Mormon prophet right now is so fucking old. Like, at this point, like, if you think these politicians are old, look at who has been prophets of the Mormon church. We're not just talking, like, hitting 80s. We're talking, like, hitting hundreds. Like, you're hitting 100 years old. And at this point for the Mormon church, they just as well dig Joseph Smith's corpse out of the grave and puppet it on the podium with fucking sticks and twine. Like, so I guess I'm just a little bit unfazed by old people a little bit in politics because I'm like, I grew up Mormon. Like, we have older people being prophets and leaders. So, like, what the fuck is this shit? But anyways... Still, to me, my point is like, he really seems like he's just ill-equipped to finish his campaign. And I know there is a lot of, like, tedious opinion on, like, whether or not this was a crazy bad idea, this was totally risky and all that. But personally, in my personal opinion, and you don't have to share this opinion, this is just my opinion, I think this is for the better. I think this alleviates a lot. At least for me personally, because I was just very gung-ho about not voting for either Biden or Trump. The situation has been alleviated a little bit, so now there's like a third path. Not to be referenced with like the third path, but you know what I mean.
But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me.
Oh, sorry to pause it, but Heretical Response had a good comment. She said Biden's debate in 2020 was great, and he was quick-witted and tore Trump apart. This last debate was sad because it's not this. It's so weird. It's different. Like, he's got a completely different energy than he did back then. Like, within 4 years, he completely deteriorated in front of our eyes. And I think it's I know there's that weird, like, saying, like, it's Jover. Like, it's kind of, like, memed and, like, but it's Jover. Like, look at him. Like, he can, it's best. And honestly, for his own health and his family's health.
It's about you, your families,
It's about you.
your futures. It's about we, the people. And we can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division.
I like those words.
We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy?
I like those words, but we'll see where they go.
We can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this. We are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office,
'Cause I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
I promise to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much, a cause of American democracy itself, must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term, but nothing.
I mean, I guess his presidency for the last like 3.5 years, and at this point, let's face it, it's just 4. It's a full presidency because he's determined to finish it out. It was mid at best, but that's not saying a lot because everything was just shit before.
Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
Yeah, Kamala is like a whole 20 years younger than him. I mean, I wouldn't say she's old, per se, but she's older. Definitely. But at least she's competent in speech. And we're going to get to her speech soon. We're going to keep diving into this. This is just new right now.
Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep...
I mean, I have to agree. You know, it definitely changes the political environment very fast when there's political violence. But that should not be the way. It should not be the way.
Keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. And I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform, because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful.
What about Netanyahu? Hello?
Any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this.
Again, I have notes. But we're not focused on that right now.
This war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world.
By the way, shameless e-begging, if you're in the room, like my fucking live stream. Yeah, baby, like it right now. 'Cause you love my singing. I don't know. Please like my stream. Thank you.
You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record.
Again, I have notes, but we'll continue.
Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years.
Is it me, or is his tie like totally psychedelic right now? Like, just the patterns and the lighting on his tie is like not translating to like the camera very well. So it's just kind of, it's very psychedelic. I'm kind of distracted by it. I'm gonna focus.
Today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention,
Ben Franklin has got some shit, yo. Like, Ben Franklin is a motherfucker. I'm not gonna lie. He's not as perfect as y'all think. So it's a little concerning, but you know, well, it is what it is.
going on. Whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Mid. So we watched his speech. That was today, by the way, like literally just a couple hours ago. Let's see, we read his thing. Kamala accepts. Kamala is running for president. She is. Biden's out. It's Jover. He's gone. He's not running for president anymore. It's really interesting because I'm thinking about Trump's whole campaign strategy, which I feel is specifically built around competing against Biden. But now that Biden is out, it seems like Trump's whole campaign strategy is irrelevant and it has to be thrown out the window because they need to target somebody else. They put all of their eggs in one basket, and that is the basket's on fire. It's on fire. It's gone, So now we have Kamala Harris running for president, being the top nominee. I'm assuming I don't think she's officially been nominated yet, but it looks like it's going to happen. She's raised a lot of money. It's already exciting. This is very interesting. This is a very interesting election season. So, for me personally, I didn't want to vote for either Biden or Trump. So now that there's another way, I'm thinking I might lean towards voting for Kamala. And not because I'm specifically pro-Kamala, but because this is I want to vote against Biden and Trump. I want to vote against them. So a vote for Kamala for me is a vote against Biden and Trump, and it's for another path, another way. She definitely has her own skeletons in the closet. She's not perfect. I don't love her. I don't think she's perfect. Like I said, I'm not like pro Kamala. Like I'm not just like thinking she's the best and wonderful and like perfect and all that stuff. But I like this option better than the one I had before. So she's kicking it off, and let's see if we can see her recent speech. Let's find it, because she's already... Oh, wait, what was her one ad? Oh, God, can we see it? We'll see. What was the Kamala, the Kamala ad? Let's see if we can find it real fast. Wait, this is from 2019?
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we...
Yeah, she also incarcerated a lot of, like, black men for simple pot violations, but hey,
teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Interesting. So scrolling up her Twitter, I think she had her... I think this is it.
My name is Dr. Stacy N.C. Grant, and I am the International President and CEO of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. We are a 104-year-old service organization founded on the campus of Howard University, January 16, 1920. Our founders were young college co-eds who were bold enough to speak out against the societal ills of that time and advocate for equity and opportunity for our communities. In 2024, we are carrying that vision forward as we embrace the is addressed in 1940 as I was.
And I just Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Good afternoon. I was just saying to your most glorious president, Stacey N.C. Grant, she and I talked about this visit months ago, sitting together, having a meeting in the Oval Office. And we were she invited me then to attend today. And I just want to, if I can, I just want to thank you in front of all of the sisters who are here.
All right, go sisters.
She has provided years of support and friendship, and she always, like everyone here knows, she always shows up. And I'm so, so deeply grateful. Thank you. And to everyone here, it is so...
So, Elise, hi Elise, as one of our beautiful moderators, says, I've seen some things out about her as a prosecutor, and it seems some of those claims of her putting thousands in jail for pot are inaccurate and exaggerated. Kind of. I mean, she's got, I think it's like something of like 15,000 or more. But then also there's been like a significant drop in like percentage of those that are incarcerated as well. So it makes me wonder as a prosecutor if it wasn't specifically on pot, but other, like a package of other violations as well, of other law, breaking of the law. Because sometimes that happens, but then like, you know, when you want to look at statistics, you want to focus on one thing. So yes and no. Like, she still has skeletons in her closet. She's not perfect, but what fucking politician is?
Good to be with you, to the former presidents who are in attendance, to the International Board of Directors, and to all of the fine members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. It is my great, great honor to be with you today. And I love you back. And also, on Air Force Two, joining me is Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove. And I know here is also our dearest Mrs. Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. Oh, she was right. And to all of the distinguished ladies, I thank you so very much for this warm welcome. And I will begin by saying a few words about our President Joe Biden. So tonight, yes, thank you, yes. So tonight, our president will address the nation about his decision to step down as a candidate, and he will talk about not only the work, the extraordinary work that he has accomplished, but about his work in the next 6 months. And so before he does, and while I'm here with you, I want to just share with you a little bit about him, based on what I know, based on personal experience. Joe Biden is a leader with bold vision. He cares about the future. He thinks about the future. He has extraordinary determination and profound compassion for the people of our country. And I say that because I know that
I mean, yeah, in comparison to Trump, I think he definitely has more compassion for the country. Trump, even though he says phrases and sentences that says he loves the country and he loves the people and et cetera, I don't buy it as much as I do Joe. But Joe also does a whole lot of fucking nothing.
we are all deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation. And to the sisters of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I thank you for your incredible service to our nation as well. You know, I know who we all are. I know who is here. and I know, therefore, that we share a vision for the future of our nation. A future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. A future of social justice, health justice, economic justice, just as you have laid out in this year's theme.
Sure, I guess,
Ours
whatever.
is a vision of a future in which we realize the promise of America. And I deeply believe in the promise of America. A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice. Not for some, but for all. And for generations, the finer women of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated have fought to build that brighter future. During the Civil Rights Movement, you marched for voting rights, economic justice, and an end to segregation. For more than 50 years, you have worked with the March of Dimes to lift up the urgent issue of maternal health. And from the 1980s, you inaugurated Zeta Days. And I will tell you, when I was a United States Senator, I would see this group of powerful leaders walking through the halls of Congress in white and blue. And I always knew I was looking at some of the most powerful advocates for justice in America. Truly. And of course, your leadership continued in 2020, when during the height of a pandemic, you helped elect Joe Biden, President of the United States, and me as the first woman Vice President of the United States. And I thank you. And now, in this moment, our nation needs your leadership once again. In this moment, I believe we face a choice between two different visions for our nation.
It's true.
One focused on the future, the other focused on the past.
Yeah.
And with your support, I am fighting for our nation's future. And let us be clear about what that future looks like. I know the leaders in this room, and I know the future we believe in and we fight for. We here believe in a future where, for example, everyone has affordable health care.
Yeah. Are you actually going to do that,
Our
though?
administration capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month. We believe in a future where no child has to grow up in poverty, which is why I helped pass the child tax credit, which cut child poverty in half and cut black child poverty even more. We believe in a future where the economy works for working people. That is why we forgave student loan debt for more than 5 million Americans.
Frankly, I'm all about that. Yeah, fuck student loan debt. There's literally no reason for that shit.
And if you or anyone you know benefited from that, please testify. And we are finally making it so that medical debt can no longer be used against your credit score.
Okay, girl.
And it is because of our collective...
The whole credit score shit is such bullshit, honestly. Like my credit score was fucked before I even knew what the fuck it was. And because there was a family member who took advantage of my social security information and really fucked up my credit. It's a long story there. Really bad situation. Family member forged a credit card in my name and all that. And it was really bad. But yeah, it's really fucked. I really hate the credit score system. I just think it's an absolute scam.
vision for the future that we continue to fight for affordable child care, affordable elder care, and paid family leave. We here believe in a future where all women and all mothers are safe. That is why, as Vice President, I have elevated and took on the issue of maternal mortality, knowing that women in America die at a higher rate in connection with childbirth than women in any other wealthy nation in the world. And Black women are 3 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth. And for too long, this has been a crisis in our country, and it is time that we recognize the crisis it is. In fact, when I took office, I challenged every state in our nation on this issue because, you see, I said, look, we need to extend Medicaid postpartum coverage from a measly 2 months to a full year. And I'm proud to report, whereas when I issued the challenge...
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any comment, like, on the like, Medicare system, especially living in California, because, like, it is helpful. And this is just, like, a personal experience. It has nothing to do with, like, the overall, like, benefit of, like, American citizens and stuff. But for me personally, Medicare is helpful, but it only goes so far. Like, for example, if I have an emergency and I have to go to the hospital, like, I'm not going to get any bill there, which I've had to do, which is great. But trying to get preventative care on a long-term level is impossible. Like, unless you're bleeding out of your eyeballs and, like, shitting and pissing and crying and puking, like, and on the verge of death, and, like, it's an emergency, you don't really get very great regular care, like, routine care. I mean, it's there, but it's not as good as I think as it should be, which would prevent those emergency situations. Just my opinion. It's my opinion!
Only 3 states offered a full year of coverage. Now 46 states do. So I say, as we work to build a brighter future and to move our nation forward, we must also recognize there are those who are trying to take us backward. You may have seen their agenda. Part of it is called Project 2025.
Boo! Boo!
Now, can you believe they put that in writing?
Boo!
900 pages of it. Project 2025, a plan to return America to a dark past.
Yeah.
They intend to cut Medicare.
Straight up.
To repeal our $35 cap on insulin.
Straight
to
up.
eliminate the Department of Education.
Yep, she ain't lying.
To end programs like Head Start.
She ain't lying about this.
Which would take away preschool for hundreds of thousands of children in our communities.
She is not lying about this.
Let's be clear. This represents an outright attack on our children, our families, and our future.
Yep.
These extremists want to take us back, but we are not going back.
We're not going back.
We are not going back.
We are not going back.
Ours is a fight for the future. And ours is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride, the freedom to learn and acknowledge our true and full history, and the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government telling her what to do.
This is good. She's not my first choice, but I'll take it. I like this. It's inspiring. Let's see, like, if she actually gets elected as president, let's see how these plans actually play out. Because, I mean, a lot of politics is like they promise, and Democrats are the worst at this. This is the one beef I have with Democrats, is that they promise, they're very self-righteous, and then they don't actually deliver. Like, when it actually comes to time, they don't deliver on their promises. So it's like, I like this, it's inspiring, I like this better than Biden or Trump, but still wary, okay? But, you know, honestly, I'm so out of my mind with the whole, like, Trump versus Biden thing. I just want to vote for something that's anything but that. Anything but that. Anything but Biden or Trump. Something that's not a third party that will actually mean something.
And in the face of these attacks, we must continue to stand together in defense of freedom. We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will make sure then that every American has the ability to cast their ballot and have it counted. We who believe that every person in our nation should be free from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. We who believe that every person in our nation should be free from bigotry, discrimination, and hate will continue to fight for equality and justice for all. And we who believe in reproductive freedom will fight for a woman's right to choose, because one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
You know, when he was president, Donald Trump, former president, handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court.
Oh.
Because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Amy
United
Coney.
States Supreme Court, previously the court of Thurgood and RBG. And as he intended, they did. Well, let me tell you something. When I am president of the United States, and when Congress passes a law to...
I gotta pause it for a second, because Bridget made a really good comment. Bridget said, I know Kamala uses the word faith, but as a Neogenian, I don't like the term faith. You know what? I really feel for you. And I totally know what you mean. Because, you know, growing up religious and then, like, becoming Neogenian, I definitely had this phase where I was like, you know, you can't use the term faith. You can't say, like, the word God. You can't say, like, God bless things or, like, stuff like that. Or thank God, you know. It was definitely a turning point in my RTS, my religious trauma syndrome, where I learned to make those words different for myself as a Neogenian. So, for example, instead of using the word faith as a more direct relation to haphazard religious beliefs, I tend to think of the term faith as having faith in something that you don't know quite yet, but you have a very good, reasonable, and rational trajectory and projection for. Like, I don't have any faith in some sort of creator God or like things like that, but I could very confidently say that I have faith in myself. I have faith in myself that I'm going to get myself in a position where I'm going to be safe, happy, and, you know, I'm going to work really hard to get myself there. I can't see that yet, right? Like, I don't have, like, extreme validation that I'm going to be perfectly okay for the rest of my life. But I have a sense of faith knowing that I'm going to be as rational as possible and constantly strive to be reasonable, to make good, healthy decisions based on reason to get myself in a position in the future where I can actualize myself and evolve and grow and be good. So, it's you kind of have to take the word faith and make it into something else, make it into something for you, because the term faith is still valid. It's just it has such a bad negative connotation when you grow up religious, or like you become Neogenian and you're like, why should I use this word? But it's still a perfectly valid term and thing to have. It's okay as a Neogenian to have faith in something. It's okay to have faith in something that you are, or that you base in reason. It's just a trajectory that hasn't formed fully yet. And it kind of seems like speculation, but it's okay to have faith in something. It is. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps you not have such a bad relationship with the word faith. Because it could be a very good relationship if you want it to be. Becca says, yeah, I understand. Someone gave me a plaque to put on my desk that says faith over fear. I thanked them and then I got home and put it away in a drawer. I just didn't like it at all. Something in me. See, I would take a plaque that says faith over fear and make it a Neogenian meaning for myself. That I would make it a meaning of, like, if I'm facing a fear and I don't know exactly how I'm going to overcome it, I don't have like a specific plan, but I have faith in myself to overcome that fear. Like I would take that and make the meaning for myself. Because faith in the self is very healthy as a Neogenian. Faith in a creator being or a creator God is not Neogenian, but faith in the self or faith in something that has some rational basis to it, where it's like, you could say it's speculation, but you're like, you could say like, well, I speculate this is going to happen. Or you could say, you could be more descriptive and poetic and be like, you know what? I have faith in this, Like, it doesn't have to be bad. And you know what? I say things like, well, thank baby Jesus, thank God, or, God bless you, like if somebody sneezes. But, I've been to enough live streams with Morg, where Morg talks about the meaning of God as far as Gnosticism is concerned, and how Neogenians would view the word God. And so I kind of adapted that way, where I'm like, thank God, but I'm not like, thank the creator God. I'm just like, thank everything, the essence of all of us, God bless you. Like, thank you, baby Jesus. Like, Christ consciousness, like pure, beautiful baby Jesus consciousness, like you can turn things for yourself in a Neogenian way. You don't have to let those religious phrases or words make you avoid them, because I feel like it's giving that a little bit of power. So take the power back yourself. Give those words a new meaning that means something better for yourself. Evolve that. And that's going to help you think about thinking, which is like the way to actualize and evolve and grow.
Restore those freedoms, I will sign it into law. We are not playing around. So in conclusion, to the incredible members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I say, there is so much at stake in this moment. There's so much at stake. And again, then, in this moment, our nation, as it always has, is counting on you to energize, to organize, and to mobilize, to register folks to vote, to get them to the polls, and to continue to fight for the future our nation and her people deserve.
Get a little hakta to the polls.
When we organize, mountains move. When we mobilize, nations change. And when we vote, we make history. So let us continue to fight with optimism, with faith, and with hope, because when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. God bless
Oh my god. So Kamala Harris has like she's in it. Like she's got a lot of money. She's going to be nominated for sure. She has a choice of vice president, which she has not yet made, but there are lots of people running up. So we're going to take a look at a couple of people she might select as vice president. But I have to pee. So don't go anywhere. I have a pee screen, a screen that plays, you know, and so just stay here, don't go anywhere, and I will be right back, okay? Okay. Okay. So a couple of and there's like a handful, but we're just gonna look at a couple because I like what they have to say. Trump's vice president is Vance, and JD Vance, and for some reason he has been like the most laughable joke of a nomination for a vice president like in the history of the United States. Like he is so unpopular, he's in the negative. He's like negative 6 points or something like as of today. I just like let's see what JD has to say about Kamala.
When I consider how good this country has been to me, I just think about how much I owe to it. That gratitude should come with a sense of responsibility. And when I think about Kamala Harris, who I guess is our vice presidential candidate officially, but I guess she's going to run for president now because Joe Biden dropped out of the race, I wonder, when I see her give a speech, and she talks about the history of this country, not with appreciation, but with condemnation.
What do you mean? Well,
and look, of course,
well.
every country, just like every family, certainly mine, has its
Whose vision of the nation? Is she condescending to your vision of the nation? Because that's totally valid.
pockmarks, right? Not everything's perfect. It's never going to be. But if you want to lead this country, you should feel grateful for it. You should feel a sense of gratitude. And I never hear that gratitude come through when I listen to Kamala Harris.
I beg to differ. That wasn't what he said, though. He said something about her, like, being a, like, single woman with cats, or a childless woman with cats. Brace yourselves. With Kamala running, the only arguments against her are going to be misogynistic and racist. Just you watch. It's going to be like, well, she shouldn't do this, or she shouldn't do that. And it's like, you would never say that about, like, any male running candidate. Like, you wouldn't. Let's see. It says Kamala Harris, childless cat lady. I'm laughing because it's like on. It's on. Tucker Carlson. Of course.
What I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Oh, stop it. Yeah, so, childless cat lady. One thing he also said that really was cringe. Let's see. It's on my, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. Because I reposted this on Twitter, and I'm like, what the fuck? This.
Well, they say it's racist to do anything.
Hold on.
Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys. Democrats say that it is racist.
Oh my fuck. Like, really, dude? Anyways, he's doing so badly. Vance is doing so badly that Trump might actually drop him and pick up somebody else, because they strategically chose Vance, like, in the context of, like, still running against Biden, right? But that's not working anymore, so I don't think he's really relevant anymore. Like, he's doing really poorly. But let's go over to Kamala Harris, and she's got a handful of possibilities for VP, but there's two that I like, particularly, and that's Tim Harris and then Bashir. So let's just see what they have to say. Let's just get a little sample of, like, what they do, because I kind of like them both.
The DNC plans to start virtual roll call voting as soon as August 1st. And reports indicate that a vice presidential nominee could be chosen by the middle of next week, as in the middle of next week. According to NBC News, the Harris campaign has requested vetting materials from North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I'm joined by someone on that short list, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He is also, of course, the chair of the Democratic Governors Association and the co-chair of the DNC
So this is Tim Walz. Like, he could possibly be one of our VPs.
Rules Committee. He's a very busy man indeed. Governor Walz, thanks for taking a little time to join me tonight. First, I got to ask about the weirdness, the surreality of being so intimately involved in all of these proceedings, and then also on the list to be a potential vice presidential running mate with Kamala Harris. How does that feel?
Yeah, look, I'm a high school teacher, and yes, very surreal. But what I have to say is, I would start out by saying, more of your previous guests, inject it right into my veins. That's the future that we're looking at. And so what I saw was, and what we all saw this afternoon in Milwaukee was an American future that we all want, one that we know that can be there. That sense of optimism, that sense of joy, that sense of hopefulness. Look, we were laughing with each other, not at someone. Just a positive vision. And so just to be a part of this, I'm all in. I'm all in on this positive future. I'm all in that we can heal some of these rifts. And I think you saw it. You saw soon-to-be President Harris exhibit all those qualities and a grace that America is so hungry for. So I can't tell you, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here. I've never felt this energy in an awful long time. America's smiling again. America believes in it. We're seeing other Americans as neighbors, not as someone to denigrate. I'll tell you, the smallness of the Trump campaign and the smallness of the Trump-Vance vision is in full display. And your previous guests showed that. Put anybody up against that, and I'll take those odds.
It feels like the equivalent of like a 72-hour emotional balloon drop just cascading over the Democratic Party, the sense of joy, relief, elation, all the things. I do wonder, though, you know, as the governor of Minnesota, there's been a lot of talk about how Trump is very much doubling down on white working class votes, how J.D. Vance is a direct, expression of that. I know you had some harsh words for J.D. Vance, and I think he said this morning on Morning Joe, people like J.D. Vance know nothing about small-town America. Talk to me a little bit more about why you think this is a gross miscalculation on the part of the Trump campaign.
Yeah, they don't. They tell us, and they think this is about, hey, look, I grew up in a town of 400 people. 24 kids in my graduating class, 12 were cousins. The things that make small towns work are good public schools. Things that work about being good to your neighbors and helping out. And the golden rule of a small town, mind your own damn business. He wants to be in our exam rooms.
Fuck yeah.
They want to come and try and tell us they want to privatize our public schools. You think you're going to find a private school in the town of 400? These are absolute policies. His robber baron mentality as a venture capitalist gutted middle America, told us that it wouldn't work. So I have to tell you, they are misreading where people are at. Look, I won't underestimate. You can scare people. You can bring anger. You can tell them, oh, the brown man's going to steal your job. But these are good folks that just simply want a fair shake, and that fear doesn't work. What soon-to-be President Harris, and building on the Biden legacy, is bringing back good jobs, bringing back manufacturing jobs, investing in our public schools, treating teachers, nurses with dignity. Those are the things that are there. He's totally misreading this. The guy flips on everything. It frustrates me that somehow this, the denigration that Hillbilly Elegy did, that somehow this is a cultural anger or whatever. No, we're mad that Republican policies gutted our schools, gutted our communities, and now you have soon-to-be President Harris talking about reinvesting in that. I couldn't be more excited. And being from a small town, I refuse. Your previous guest was right. I'm a 50-straight strategy guy. We're going to win the governorship down in North Carolina. We're going to win it up in New Hampshire. We're going to compete in Montana. We're going to compete in Indiana because our policies work. This isn't rah-rah our team. This is what's good for the middle class. So I'm excited about it. And I think our messenger in Kamala Harris today, the joy and the smiles on people's faces. Look, I got a 23-year-old daughter. She's like, it's brat summer. We're back. They're there. Everything's just fired up again. It's good. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean, but I'm sure it's a good thing. So we're excited. So
I think a lot of people are getting familiar with Brat Summer, Governor. I have to ask, though, because we're talking about J.D. Vance, who, of course, is Trump's running mate as of right now. The questions around when we're going to find out if, as Kamala Harris is the de facto Democratic nominee, when the feasible timetable for finding out who her running mate may be, because you are chair of the Rules Committee. We know that there's going to be potentially virtual roll call voting happening between August 1st and August 7th. Should people out there who are watching this eager with anticipation believe that the vice presidential nominee will be announced in that same time frame? Is there any indication you might give us?
Look, that's a choice that Vice President Harris will make. I think our rules are the way they've always been. It's the way we did it in 2020, voting virtually. It's an open process, by the way. Anybody who wants to run can, if you can get 300 delegates. It's going to be tough because everybody's lined up behind the vice president because they love the message, they love the hope. But you certainly can do that. We'll go through the process. We'll get a vote. It will then be the vice president's decision. You normally see this, that on the first day of the convention, the announcement is made. Most of this.
I mean, ultimately, I know people say, like, well, if Joe Biden can't continue the next, term, why doesn't he just, quit now? I think it's a very intelligent move to finish the term so that Kamala Harris can earn her place, her nomination, rather than it just being given to her, her automatically coming into the assumption role of president. It looks better. Let's just say that.
Is just to meet the ballot requirements, because since January 6th, Republicans have tried to destroy our electoral system, and there's no sense of protecting the democracy. We want to make sure that we don't miss any deadlines, lock that up. But I think that'll be a choice for the vice president. It'll be one that we want to make sure that she picks someone as the right person for her and can lead us to victory, because I think all of us, there's one goal here: defeat Donald Trump and bring America back that we love.
Do you know that Donald Trump is tweeting about you being on Fox News, complaining, why did Fox News put up Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, where I am leading? They make me fight battles I shouldn't have.
I love that reaction. I love the immediate just laughter, just oh, he mentioned me? Oh, gee, golly gee, what did he say?
To fight. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, he has nothing better to do, apparently, on that. Look, this is, I don't get it. I'm going to go and talk to these folks. Yeah, I know. Well, here's my thing, too, is just to be candid. In rural America, my relatives are watching Fox News. I get it. But I think we can take a message to them. But this idea of being obsessed with this, saying that, look, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight race, but we're going to win. And you talked about this new coalition, the Obama coalition. I'll tell you that I believe soon-to-be President Harris will win older white folks like me, like my family, because it's a message that matters to us. She's talking that we matter, that our schools matter, that our jobs matter, that our environment matters, those freedoms. These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room.
This is why I like Tim Walz, is because of the sheer fact that he's these are weird people. These are fucking weird people. This is why I like him.
That's what it comes down to. And don't, get sugarcoating this. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Listen to how they talk about things. Listen to how your previous guests were right. Like you said, they've told them that they shouldn't talk about race. They can't help it. It is built into their DNA because there is no plan. There's no health care plan. There's no health care plan. There's nothing to do on this. They want to take away our alliances and leave Russia to do whatever they want. Look, they are bad on foreign policy. They are bad on the environment. They certainly have no health care plan. And they keep talking about the middle class that, as I said, a robber baron real estate guy and a venture capitalist trying to tell us they understand who we are. They don't know who we are.
That's their version of economic populism. And let me tell you, that ain't a brat summer. I barely know what a brat summer is. I just know it's not that. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining.
Tim Walz, he's a good candidate. Another guy I like is Bashir. He's I think he was the governor of Kentucky. Really good guy too. Not perfect, but very promising. Let's Let's take a look.
Becomes the formal Democratic nominee, who is going to be doing that with her? The search for a running mate is very much on, with only 28 days to go before the Democratic convention in Chicago. And my lead source tonight is a governor who is widely being discussed as being near the top of Harris's shortlist. And joining me now is the Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear. Governor, it's great to have you back here on The Source. You just heard
I like Andy Beshear, and you're going to find out why.
Vice President Harris addressing the campaign staff that is now her campaign staff in the last 24 hours. Obviously, it's been quite the 24 hours for her, for really everybody witnessing this. And I know you spoke to her yesterday. How'd that conversation go?
Well, thank you for having me. And I can't start without thanking President Biden for his incredible service. From leading us out of a pandemic at record speed to being there for Kentuckians after tornadoes and floods, to helping us build the best economy of our lifetime, including the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. He is an incredible American. I'm grateful for all the money to bring internet to every household in Kentucky, for clean drinking water, and for so much. With that said, I am excited to fully endorse the vice president to be the next president of the United States. She called me personally just hours after President Biden's announcement, and I admit that means a lot to me, but I'm not the only one. 10 hours on the phone doing the hard work that it takes to bring together the coalition that you see coming around her. There is so much energy, and it's energy because we know her. We know that she is a strong and smart person, which will make her a good president, but she is also a kind and empathetic person, and that's going to make her a great president. Now, just think about the contrast. Here's the vice president with empathy, looking out for people versus what's on the other side, which is just people looking out for themselves. I think you're going to see this energy continue, and I think the vice president is going to win this race, become the president of the United States, but most importantly, move us past all this partisan bickering, move us past the constant back and forth. People are exhausted about it, and she's got a chance to be that next leader that moves us beyond
she
it.
does. He's
Well,
not
and you mentioned
wrong.
that you were one of the first people that she called. Did she mention anything about having you serve as her running mate potentially?
Well, I'm going to keep any of the details of that call personal, but what she did is she called and asked for my support, and I willingly gave it. She talked about having just months to make sure we won this election, but wanting to earn it. She said she didn't want a coronation, she wanted to earn it. And that's exactly what I needed to hear, that she is going to get out there just like she's doing today and make her case to the American people. She is the perfect person to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. Here's a district attorney and a former attorney general.
Honestly, she's like I said, I'm not pure pro Kamala. Like, I don't think she's perfect. I'm not personally invested in her. But with the options that we have now, her coming in against Trump, we got a lot of hope.
Like I was. That's out there having fought for victims of rape and incest, of domestic abuse, taking on Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, a guy that said when a woman is raped and becomes pregnant, it is, quote, inconvenient. Or that women should stay with a domestic abuser. I mean, that is really wrong. And the vice president is the...
J.D. Vance is really into that. J.D. Vance is really into no abortion for any reason at all. No, like, what's the word? What? I'm having a brain fart, but no exceptions, no nothing. J.D. Vance is also for no-fault divorce, or against no-fault divorce, which means you cannot divorce your husband as a woman, even if that husband is abusive. Like, J.D. Vance is very, no divorce, no abortion for any reason, no exceptions, no.
Perfect person to contrast, that view and how wrong former President Trump and J.D. Vance are on those and so many more issues.
I know you said you love your job as governor of Kentucky, but if you were asked to serve as vice president, would you lean towards saying yes?
I do love my job here in Kentucky. My kids are happy. We're having record success. We've broken every record for private sector investment, new jobs, exports, tourism. Recidivism is at a low the last 3 years. Our drug overdoses are going down for the first time in a long time, which is critically important. So I love the work that I do. The only reason I'd ever consider something else is if I felt that I could help my people in Kentucky more in a different role, or that there was a chance to move past the partisanship, the constant fighting. What we've done in Kentucky is turn down the temperature and have everybody, Democrats and Republicans, focus on those things that aren't partisan, like good jobs, solid infrastructure, healthcare that's accessible and affordable to everyone, internet access.
This is a Democrat in a red state, by the way.
Access, public safety, public education. I just think America and our people are yearning for a time when they're not defined by their party, where everything from the car they drive to the beer they drink isn't about picking a team. I think they're just yearning to get beyond this and get back to a sense of normalcy.
But on that race, of course, this is a big question of who is going to be on that ticket with her if she is the nominee. There are some people who have already started submitting information for vetting purposes. Are you one of those people? Have you submitted any information to the Harris campaign?
I've not been personally asked to submit information at this point.
Okay, and you and I spoke right after you won re-election. It's a rare thing for a Democratic governor in a very red state like Kentucky. If you were selected as vice president, and I know we're talking about hypotheticals, but it matters, and what would you bring to the ticket as far as appealing to rural voters who may have turned away from your party?
Well, I know how to talk to people on both sides of the aisle. You have to in a state like Kentucky. And again, it's recognizing that when people wake up in the morning, the things they're worried about aren't partisan. And they're not thinking about the presidential election. They're thinking about their job and whether they make enough to support their family. They're thinking about whether they can afford their next doctor's appointment for their parents or their kids or themselves. They're thinking about the safety of the roads and bridges they drive on that day. They're thinking about their public safety in their community, and they're thinking about their kids' future.
Macromonius has a good point. He says red state, blue state is really a myth. Not quite a myth, but I get where you're going here. Saying, for example, Florida and Texas have far more lefties than righties, yet gerrymandering all the districts is sure the minority's rights always own it all. So you're right. Like I don't necessarily agree with that. It's a myth. But, like, for example, California is primarily a blue state, right? And that's because in the major cities where there is the most population, it's very progressive. However, if you drive out to the valleys of California, if you get out there in the farms, you're going to see pro-Trump flags all along the ranches, so there are some hardcore fucking righties and MAGA people here in California. It's just that they're not really occupying the major cities, so that's kind of the thing. Vice versa, it's like you'll have a red state where in the cities you'll find a lot of progressive people, but like the majority of the state is like those Trump-loving ranchers, like, out in the dust. It depends. It depends on how many people are progressive in the major cities and how many people are, like, occupying the rest of the land. Because if you go to Texas and you go to some of the major cities, like Austin, Texas and stuff, you'll find some very progressive, very artistic, very open-minded people, So it's you're kind of right. You're kind of right, Macromonius. And I'm not saying like my opinion is better than yours by all means. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say like with the reference of it being a red or blue state being a myth. Not really, but I get where you're going.
their education, and then the opportunities. When we govern in that way, we don't move a state or a country to the right or the left, we just move it forward. And again, I think Americans are yearning for that. Now, stop the right and left. Everything isn't Democrat or Republican. If we're going to lead correctly, we can't view the world through a red or a blue lens when everything one team does is supposed to be right and everything the other team does is supposed to be wrong. People just want a better life, and they want leaders that will work for the benefit of everyone. When you create good jobs, you help Democrats and Republicans, independents, and anybody else, whether they voted for you or not. You know, my rule has always been, yes, I run as a proud Democrat, but the moment I win, I take that hat off and I try to serve every single Kentuckian. It's why I go to every part of the state, why we've created jobs everywhere, because there's not a Democratic or a Republican job. There's just a community that need them and families that are improved by them.
Yeah, it sounds like you think you'd be able to help bring in some of those more moderate voters. But obviously, you know, this race, if it shapes up the way it is looking right now, would be Harris and Trump at the top of the ticket. I want you to listen to what J.D. Vance said today, Senator J.D. Vance, at his first solo rally since he was named as Donald Trump's running mate.
This is not okay, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot for 3.5 years take a guy who clearly didn't have the mental capacity to do the job. Kamala Harris lied about it. My Senate Democratic colleagues lied about it. The media...
I mean, he's not wrong. The media lied about, like, President Biden being, like, capable of, like, running again. And he really hasn't. Like, I gotta give him just that. I don't want to give him credit at all, but it is true. It's like the media totally has been lying to everybody about how fucking inept and just, like, bad Biden is. But here we are.
Lied about it. Every single person.
What do we give a shit at this point? Because Kamala's here. Mama Kamala.
Who saw Joe Biden knew that he wasn't capable of doing the job, and for 3 years they said nothing until he became political dead weight.
What's your reaction to that, Governor?
Well, first, he ought to call the vice president by her title. She earned it. She is Vice President Harris. But the second is they're grasping for straws. Listen, J.D. Vance is a phony. He's fake. I mean, he first says that Donald Trump is like Hitler, and now he's acting.
It's true. I don't know if you all realize this, but J.D. Vance used to be very anti-Trump. He was like, Trump isn't literal Hitler. This is a disgrace to, like, Republicans, the Republican Party. Like, he was very vehemently against Trump. J.D. Vance has, like, an interesting history of just, like, turnover, where he was very against Trump. I think he was, like, a tech kid, you know, like a, Silicon Valley tech kid type of thing. And he just, as soon as he became a politician, just instantly, like, switched. He's very bizarre, honestly. He's a very weird fucking person.
Like he's Lincoln. I mean, the problem with J.D. Vance is he has no conviction, but I guess his running mate has 34.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up because he just responded to something you said today when you are calling him phony this morning. You said that, you know, he ain't Appalachia, as, you know, he talks about his roots and growing up in Ohio, but being raised in the summers by his grandmother in Kentucky. And he just responded to what you had to say. I want you to listen to that.
It's very weird to have a guy whose first job was at a stats law firm and inherited the governorship from his father criticize my origin story. Like, yes, nobody gave me the governorship and nobody gave me a job because of who my father was. I'm proud of that.
He said, nobody gave me the governorship and nobody gave me a job because of who my father was. I'm proud of that. Obviously a reference to your own father. What's your response to those comments from Senator Vance?
Well, what was weird was him joking about racism today and then talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew? But in all seriousness,
about his weird racist Diet Mountain Dew. I just love the comment, like, first of all, who the fuck drinks Diet Mountain Dew? Like, honestly, that alone should tell you how to vote. If your candidate drinks Diet Mountain Dew, do not vote for them. Seriously, don't. Game over.
He ain't from here. He is not from Kentucky. Listen, this is a guy who would come maybe in the summers for some period of time, or to weddings or funerals, and then he claims to be from Eastern Kentucky, tries to write a book about it to profit off our people, and then he calls...
Yeah, so J.D. Vance actually wrote a book. I can't remember, what is it called? Oh, hold on. 2 seconds. So, yeah, what was his book called? Let's see, J.D. Vance book. What was it called? It was called Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis. So this is the book that J.D. Vance wrote. And so pretty much he just writes this book about supposedly being a hillbilly and all that stuff and growing up in Kentucky and all that shit and being part of like the normal folk when it's actually full of shit. He did not do any of that.
Calls us lazy. And this makes me angry, but it especially makes me angry about our people in Eastern Kentucky. Listen, these are the hardworking coal miners that powered the Industrial Revolution, that helped...
Yeah, J.D. Vance made some comment like Kentucky people are just like lazy and stupid.
Build the strongest middle class the world has ever seen, helped us win 2 world wars, and he called them lazy, acting like he understands our culture and he's one of us. He's not. This is a guy who went out to Silicon Valley, that's trying to be an everyman. He ain't one of us.
Really good. I think not J.D. Vance. Bashir said something really cool about trans people.
Transgender sports bill. First, you will not find one example.
Because there was some anti-trans legislation that passed through Kentucky, and Bashir was like, no.
Not one of a competitive advantage by a transgender athlete in Kentucky. You will not find one. The reason is KHSAA was ahead of its time and has already implemented very stringent standards and rules that prevent it. I mean, the rules actually say they prevent it. They say that an athlete either has to transition before they reach puberty, where you don't have then that hormonal potential advantage, or you have to go through hormonal therapy for enough time to where there is not a competitive advantage. It's directly written in. So KHSAA...
Right now he's talking about like bills and motions to prevent, like for example, and it's primarily targeted at trans women. Trans women, there's bills put forward that they should not participate in sports because there's this idea that perhaps they have an advantage over women, even though the official organization of Olympics sports science, the official organization of Olympic sports science, put out a study that said very vehemently trans women do not have an advantage over cis women. And in fact, they actually have less of an advantage. And it boils down to a study of bone density. Strength is based on bone density. And when you do hormone replacement therapy as a trans woman and you take estrogen, that fucks with your bone density. And you're not as strong, resilient, physically apt. If anything, trans women have an extreme disadvantage. So, just so you know, that's what the subject we're on. But anyways, I like his attitude about, trans people.
Already very strictly prevented. the thing that people are trying to get other folks riled up about. There cannot be an athlete with an uncompetitive advantage in Kentucky under the current rules. So, what then does this do? I worry that it makes kids that are already struggling feel worse about themselves. Listen, I remember middle school. Middle school was hard. I have kids in middle school. It's hard on them. Now imagine middle school with social media. Now imagine middle school being a child who is trans, who's probably either not on a sports team or certainly not playing it for anything other than meeting other kids and trying to be just accepted as a human being. Listen, I love sports. I love watching them. But my faith calls me to put compassion and care for my fellow human being above anything else. I think about one of my favorite stories in the Bible where, at the time, people would keep kids away from major religious leaders or government figures, right? And Jesus turns to his apostles and he says, "Let the kids come to me and do not hinder them." He didn't read in any exceptions. None. And this is something that governors of Indiana and Utah have done. So anybody claiming that somebody's being driven by any woke this or that, well, first of all, I read that to my wife and she laughed out loud and said, "Do they know you still try to wear a suit you bought 20 years ago?" And we're just trying to do the right thing. I think people by now, through everything we've been through everything we've said at this podium, knows that I'm not driven by any base. I'm driven by what I believe is right. And here, I'm trying to put what I believe is a calling to always come at things with the greatest of care and compassion for our individuals, especially our youth first.
I love his attitude. He's definitely religious, but he's a very open-ended religious. He's got the mentality of like, we are all children of God, and therefore he can't put forth any measures or motions towards trans people because he truly believes they are also children of God and they all deserve respect and love. And even though that's religiously driven by like the idea of a creator God, I'll allow it. I will allow it. I like that. I think if anybody's going to be religious and believe in a creator God, that kind of mentality is what we need. That mentality of we are all children of God and we all deserve basic respect. Let's see. I hope I can find that exact thing.
Kentucky's legislature overrides Governor Beshear's veto of a bill that outlines the care that transgender youth can receive. The controversial bill is known as the Parental Rights Bill, and now some are calling to vote lawmakers out. The vote coming amid disruptive chants and arrests at the state capitol. This is Wave News at 5. I'm John Bowl.
And I'm Myra Ansari. Supporters of Senate Bill 150 say that the bill will prevent kids from making a life-changing decision they might regret.
Critics say it could endanger the mental health of transgender youth. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke is following the latest developments out of Frankfort right now.
Myra, John, the Kentucky Senate first voted 29-8 to override Governor Beshear's veto of SB 150. And then the House voted 76-73. Lawmakers in favor of Senate Bill 150 say it protects kids and empowers parents. Critics call it discriminatory against trans youth. This new law bans all gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth under the age of 18. Doctors would also not be able to prescribe puberty blockers or hormones. School districts will also be banned from talking about sexual orientation or gender identity with students of any age. Students would also have to use the bathroom that matches their birth certificate. Teachers can refuse to use a student's preferred pronouns even if parents request it.
That's sad.
Too much government interference in personal health care matters. We cannot say we're going to allow parents to make the decision and then take the rights of parents away to make those decisions for their parents.
Tell you who's scared. Trans kids and their parents and the people who love them, who are about to have life-saving medical care ripped out from under them by an insanely out-of-touch legislature.
Senator Karen Berg pleaded with her colleagues by sharing the last letter her trans son wrote before taking his life back in December. They still voted to pass the bill. The parental rights law, SB 150, would go into effect in late June. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
I don't think that's what I wanted to pick. Let's see. Hold on. Dead air, dead air. Do 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 boo 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 boo.
Tonight we move to the race for Kentucky governor. The incumbent Democrat Andy Beshear making it clear today he does not support gender reassignment surgery for children. He's pushing back against claims made by the Republicans. And tonight, Isaiah Kim Martinez is breaking down the governor's new campaign ad and fact-checking the claims made on both sides. Isaiah, what'd you learn?
Well, Doug, the argument the GOP has made is that Governor Beshear vetoed Senate Bill 150, now law, which includes a ban on gender reassignment surgeries for minors specifically. But the point the governor and other Kentucky healthcare systems continue to make, the surgeries were never authorized for kids to begin with.
That Andy Beshear would allow sex changes for children as young as 8 and 9 years old.
For months, GOP-backed campaign ads have targeted Kentucky's governor, Andy Beshear, who is vying for re-election in November.
Beshear even supports allowing school employees to secretly help children change genders.
Attorney General and Republican nominee for governor Daniel Cameron tweeting this at the end of June, saying, quote, Andy Beshear and his liberal allies believe kids should have access to sex change surgery and drugs. Now,
these attacks on me by Daniel Cameron are not true.
Beshear's campaign is taking a public stance in its latest ad released Monday.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids, and those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Two of the biggest children's healthcare systems in the state, Norton and the...
No, Beshear is right, though, is because there's this whole misconception that children are getting these crazy surgeries and stuff. They don't happen. That doesn't happen. Kids aren't getting crazy surgeries. That's not how the timeline of transitioning works. So that's pretty much his point. He's like, I don't support that because, you know, it never happens. We don't have that shit. That's
University
not
of
realistic.
Kentucky both confirm they've never performed this kind of surgery on kids, though both have been forced to halt programs providing other forms of gender-affirming care because of the new law taking effect.
That under the age of 18, we're only talking about mental health therapy and then puberty-regulating drugs and hormone replacement therapies.
Chris Hartman is the executive director of the Fairness Campaign, an LGBTQ+.
Exactly, because at most underage children are transitioning socially, meaning that they simply choose a different name and they wear different clothes, and perhaps they'll take puberty blockers, and in their later teens perhaps they'll take hormone replacement therapy. But kids that young aren't getting surgeries. That's not how that works. That's not what's happening here.
Advocacy group in Kentucky. He says they've never endorsed the surgery for youth either.
It simply doesn't happen. It's not within the best practice standards of care.
But to the Republican Party of Kentucky, it all comes back to Beshear's March veto of Senate Bill 150. An RPK spokesperson saying in a statement, quote, in the heat of a campaign, Andy Beshear is misleading voters about his true beliefs. Going on to say, quote, Kentuckians are smart enough to see through his lies.
So let's talk about the race to November. Election Day, the official kickoff to Kentucky's political season, is going to be Fancy Farm in Western Kentucky. That's Saturday.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. So Kamala is running. She's got lots of money. Kamala, I don't personally like her. But I'm going to admit that I feel like she is a lot of hope. She's a lot more competent than either Biden or Trump. She's got a lot of opportunity to seize. She's got a lot of potential about her. So, you know, she's got my vote so far. She's got my vote, so we'll see how this goes. I think there's some hope. You know, if she doesn't pull through and Trump wins, it's gonna be bad. I don't think, and I don't mean like bad as in like being hyperbolic. Like it's gonna be actually bad, like so bad. You know, I'm gonna have to clean up my language and not say very much. Like have any like criticisms in that direction, you know, like it's gonna be bad if Trump wins. So here's to hoping. There's some hope. I'm gonna take that and let's see where it goes, you know. So anyways, kids, thank you so much for joining me tonight on Wednesday. I know it was very impromptu. I know I'm suddenly just live streaming on Wednesdays, but we are live streaming on Wednesdays now. So take a look out for that. Tell your friends, let everybody know. Friday, we will be live streaming and we're going to game. We will update on some relevant world events, political topics. Like we will do a little bit of an update maybe for like 45 minutes and then we'll start gaming. The next plan I have for gaming is to finish that last little bit of Ironbark, Fears to Fathom, and then we're probably going to start another chapter because they have other chapters. So, yeah, if you want to do that, then join me then. Until then, have a good week. Take care. If you're going to join Morg's live stream tomorrow, I will see you then. And then until Friday, take care. Toodles. And thank you so much to our beautiful moderators who kept our chat healthy and clean. We always have a good chat here. We always have a nice, chill chat without drama. So, anyways, thank you all so much for your beautiful inputs, your comments. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Take care. We'll see you later. All right? All right. Okay. Bye.